Joumana Kayrouz. You've seen her images on giant billboards across the metro. Joumana Kayrouz. You've seen her images on buses across the city. Now get to know Joumana Kayrouz.
The war broke out in my home country, Lebanon. I was 11 years old, and I saw a lot of bloodshed and inequality and poverty. You can't grow up in an environment like that and not be affected by it and not want to make a difference. I graduated from Yale University with a master's in ethics. I speak 4 languages. It has always been innate in me fighting for the underdog and trying to do whatever it is I can to make a difference in the world.
Let Joumana Kayrouz protect your rights. Call the law offices of Joumana Kayrouz at 1-866-YOUR-RIGHTS, extension 100, or visit yourrights.com.
برنامج يور رايتس مع المحامية جومانا كيروز المختصة في قضايا حوادث السيارات مع نخبة من المحامين في اختصاصات عدة منها الطلاق والهجرة والإفلاس يأتيكم الآن على الهواء مباشرة. أسعد الله أوقاتكم بالخير أحبائي المستمعين، أهلا بكم في حلقة جديدة من برنامج يور رايتس مع المحامية جومانا كيروز على الهواء مباشرة، ونستقبل اتصالاتكم عبر الاتصال بالاستوديو، والأرقام هنا هي 313-769-6666 519-256-1023، أيضا عن طريق الواتساب 313-327-7074. مكاتب المحامية جومانا كيروز تتعامل مع قضايا الإصابات الشخصية من ضمنها حوادث السيارات، قضايا إصابات العمل، الأخطاء الطبية، قضايا الهجرة والتجنس، قضايا الضمان الاجتماعي. رقم الهاتف في مكتب المحامية جومانا كيروز 248-557-3645. تحياتنا لكم ونرحب بالمحامية جومانا كيروز. جومانا مساء الخير.
مساء الخير رامي، كيفك اليوم؟
أهلا وسهلا، تحياتنا لك. يا ريت لو شوية تعلينا الصوت جومانا حتى نسمعك بوضوح أكثر.
اوكي، هلا صار احسن؟
حاولي تعلي يمكن اعلى شيء عندك حتى نصوت شوي.
هلا صار احسن؟
طيب راح نكمل معك ونشوف ان شاء الله تكون الاوضاع احسن.
هل حضرتك انت هيدي اللي حدي بالمكنه الكبيره ولا
على المكسر جمال؟
اوكي
نعم.
لكن انا هلا فهمت عليك. هلا صار احسن؟
اي احسن، نعم تمام.
اوكي، بتريد بعد علي
شوي علي اكثر؟
وهلا
تمام، نسمعك بوضوح الان جمال. اهلا وسهلا فيكي.
أهلا وسهلا فيك. مساء الخير لك ولكل المستمعين، ومساء الخير لضيفنا لليوم. بالمعدل بنستقبله تقريبا مرة بالشهر المحامي هاورد رادنر. Good afternoon, attorney Howard Radner.
Good afternoon, Joumana. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Well, I am so delighted that you are here in the studio, because when we have you on Skype, I have no idea what you do from your end, because the quality of the Skype from your end is non-stop interference. So I'm really happy you are here.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I know you've been very busy. You are here in the studio in our office today. And our listeners know that you have 46, 48, something like that.
47 years I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
But I'm still a young man, though.
You are a very young man, very young man. 47 years of experience, unbelievable experience, tremendous second-to-none experience in premises liability, slip and fall, trip and fall, and the like. I want to start by talking about a scenario that happens almost with all of us, every one of us, because in today's world we order a lot of things online. So we have in the past it used to be that the postman would deliver the mail and that was it. Now you have Amazon delivering packages 15 times a day, including overnight. You have DoorDash, and you have Uber Eats, and you have other service providers who are delivering packages to you at the house. So things have changed a lot, and the question today is that we will begin with is, first of all, what are the rights of someone like USPS or DoorDash or an Amazon worker who, God forbid, gets injured in front of your property? And the reason we're talking about it now, we've been getting these calls, unfortunately, people getting injured in front of other people's properties because of snow, ice, and the like. But we want to talk about that. We want to start talking about that. رامي، من أول الأشياء اللي بدنا نحكي عنها اليوم، بما أنه مؤخرا الطقس غير جيد، في ثلج وفي جليد وفي جليد تحت الثلج إلى آخره، وبما أنه نمط حياتنا صار لدرجة أنه تقريبا كل يوم يمكن كل واحد منا أكثر من مرة بيستلم باكج قدام البيت، إن كان من أمازون، إن كان من أكل من أوبر إيتس، بعتذر مش أوبر إيتس، دور داش إلى آخره، إن كان اليونايتد ستيتس بوستال سيرفيس. والاتصالات اللي عم تجي على المكتب، والسؤال اللي بيطرح نفسه هو شو حقوق الإنسان اللي لا سمح الله بيكون عم بيوصل غرض قدام بيت الآخر، والظروف الجوية أو ظروف بالأرض بتسبب له إصابة، شو حقوقه، شو معه شو عليه. هيدي نمبر 1. ونمبر 2، شو واجبات صاحب البيت وشو مسؤوليات صاحب البيت إذا لا سمح الله حدا إجا لعنده على البيت as a business invitee عم بيوصل له أكل أو عم بيوصل له باكج. بدنا نسلط الأضواء شوي على هذا الموضوع. Attorney Howard Radner, one of the calls that we had this week, one of the few, involves, I believe, an Uber Eats or a DoorDash, so we'll keep it a little bit vague. And the gentleman was delivering food at a customer's home and got injured. Notwithstanding what this person wanted and did not want, he did suffer an injury, so we have medical bills we're talking about, and the question becomes, who's responsible for these medical bills? And also, if he fell because of the negligence of the homeowner in not cleaning and clearing the front area and making it dangerous, resulting in this person getting injured, then who is legally liable here? Is DoorDash liable and responsible because their dasher was injured, or is it the homeowners? Let's begin first with who covers a dashers. That's what they call them, dashers. I did not know. When I went to New York City recently, I finally had my daughter download the DoorDash app, and I kept getting these notifications on my cell phone. Your dasher is 15 minutes away. Your dasher is 5 minutes away. And I burst out laughing, and I went to my daughter, and she said, Mom, that's what they call them, dashers. So when a dasher is injured because they are on the quote-unquote job, and I want to clarify, they're not employees, they're independent contractors, but when a dasher gets injured and there are medical bills, what are your thoughts on who's responsible? And then I'm going to tell you what my analysis has revealed, because we represent a lot of DoorDash injured DoorDash people who are in car accidents, and the question becomes who covers what. So go ahead.
If the DoorDash worker falls on a dangerous or a hazardous condition on the homeowner's property that the homeowner neglected to remove, then the homeowner would be responsible for not only his medical bills, but his pain and suffering and lost wages as well.
Okay, well, here is what I can tell you, and it can be, let me begin by saying that this is a brand new area of the law. It is an evolving area of the law, and we don't have, I can say this without hesitation, we don't have the answers to all the questions. Here is what I can tell you in the context of a car accident. If somebody is doing DoorDash and they get injured within the context using their car, somebody who does DoorDash uses their car, and I believe that if there are medical bills that arise out or that result from this car accident while the dasher has the application turned on and is delivering, remember, DoorDashers are not employees. They are independent contractors. They should have a car and they should maintain insurance on their car. However, the medical bills, we believe, and we're not 100% sure yet, but it appears, it's not entirely clear right now, but DoorDash is buying and offering to every DoorDash person something called occupational hazard insurance, which is disability insurance for when you are not a W-2 but a 1099 and you get injured within the scope of what's required of you. So if you're doing DoorDash, you are 1099. Workman's comp does not apply because workman's comp only applies to people who are technically employees, so they are 1099, and 1099ers who are at risk of being injured, should always either have the people they work with or themselves buy occupational hazard insurance, because occupational hazard insurance covers, depending on what you buy, up to, the last policy I looked at was up to $1 million in medical coverage, and up to about 40 weeks of like 50 to 60% of what you used to make every week. So it is some form to cover who's going to pay your medical bills, and a little bit of, I wouldn't call them wages because you're a 1099, but your income. But here in the context of a homeowners, are you saying it's different? And are you saying those medical bills will be picked up by the homeowners insurance?
Well, if they have an occupational policy like you described, it could be that the policy
The occupational can cover.
would be responsible. However, the homeowner would also be responsible.
Before we
for-
talk about the pain and suffering, we're talking about the medical bills. So, and again, we requested, for example, in that particular case, the occupational hazard policy. It was like 80 pages long, and it says this, and it says this, and it says that. So it's not clear, but I believe we're going to be hearing about this a lot more as more and more people are engaging in these gig jobs, providing DoorDash and all of that. I think a brand new area of the law is evolving. And again, a lot of us don't have the answers yet. I think they're going to be litigated. I think we may end up being in a position where, for example, for this gentleman, his underlying insurance being Allstate on his car is probably going to deny coverage. And the disability insurance may refuse to pick up the bills, and we may end up needing to sue both and have a judge in a court of law tell us who is responsible for these medical bills. I think it's an evolving area of the law. There is no question. Also, let's add that, correct me if I'm wrong, but in homeowners policies, you have what's called a MedPay. And the MedPay, meaning that you're buying a policy that says, whether you know it or not, everybody who has a homeowners has something about MedPay. And it may say something like, if somebody gets injured on your premises, we cover only the first $1,000 of your medical treatment, or the first $5,000, right?
Right, or 10.
Or what?
Some
Or
have
10.
10.
I've seen $10,000. But if somebody's medical treatment is more than that, then it is not clear.
Also, you can't force the insurance company to pay the medical bills on a MedPay. It's an interesting part of our law that if a person falls on your property, your insurance company is not forced to pay for the medical bills.
You mean the homeowners?
The homeowner's insurance company, right.
But then what's the point of buying a homeowner's policy that says you have a $5,000 MedPay if they're not forced?
It's-
Of course, if you leave it to them, nobody's going to pay it.
Yeah, it's a quandary. It's never made sense to me here in Michigan why the insurance company would not be required to pay, but they're not. Now, of course, if the homeowner is at fault in causing the injury, then the homeowner would be responsible for paying medical bills and other damages.
If the homeowner, if an injury happens because of the homeowner, like let's say they did not clean properly, then now the homeowner, not the homeowner's insurance, is responsible to pay the medical bills?
The homeowner is
Through his
responsible,
insurance.
and then his insurance company would have to pay.
Okay, got it. Let me take a quick minute to translate this first portion before we talk about what the legal responsibility of the homeowner is if a dasher or if an Amazon worker gets injured or a United States Postal Service or a UPS in front of your property. So رامي قبل ما ننتقل لتاني جزء من الموضوع اللي هو انه وقت اللي شخص عم بيوصل لك اغراض على البيت، هيدي واجباته، بيوصل لك اغراض على البيت بيتأذى لنقول قدام بيتك، يمكن الغلط من قبل صاحب البيت ولا لا. اول سؤال هو مين اللي بيغطي الطبابة. عم نحكي هون فقط within the context of DoorDash، لانه United States Postal Service, Amazon, they can be different. But with DoorDash, عم بتقدم شيء بسموه بنحكي عنه دائما، هو occupational hazard insurance ليلي بيعملوا DoorDash، لأنه العالم اللي بيعملوا DoorDash منهم موظفين لدورداش، هن 1099. يعني قانون الوركمنز كومبنسيشن اللي بيقول انه اذا موظف تأذى الانشورنس تبع رب العمل هي المسؤولة عن طبابته و80% من التيك هوم ويجز تبعه، هيدا القانون ما بيتطبق على 1099ers مثل دورداش، لأنه القانون تبع الوركمنز كومبنسيشن هو فقط between an employer and an employee. وقت العلاقة ما بتكون علاقة رب عمل وموظف، ما في شيء اسمه workman's compensation. الworkman's compensation بتغطي الطبابة وبتغطي أول 80% من التيك هوم ويجز تبع الشخص. بس الدور داش بيرسون هو منه employee عن دور داش، هو 1099. سو نحن دايما بنعطي النصيحة، ويمكن مش كافي يعني بنعطي النصيحة بالأخص للتراك درايفرز اللي هن 1099 اللي هن on the road، ليحموا حالهم إذا تأذوا، لأنه منن موظفين ليجي رب عمل أو الانشورنس تبع رب العمل تغطي طبابتهم وراتبهم. شو منقلن دائما؟ منقلن اشتروا occupational hazardous insurance، لأنه إذا بتشتروها هي disability insurance للعالم اللي بيتأذوا doing what they need to do، وهي لل 1099ers، هي مش لل W2s، وبتأمن لك وقت اللي بتكون شريها طبابتك لحد رقم معين حسب انت قد ايه بتشتري. آخر وحدة طلعت عليها كان طبابي لحد 1,000,000 which is better than any car insurance right now، لأنه الكار insurance إذا ما عم تشتري unlimited عم تشتري $500,000 أو 250 أو 50,000. عجبتني 1,000,000 أنا، وفيها لحد 40 أسبوع دفع راتب. آخر وحدة طلعت عليها نهار السبت الماضي، ويمكن يمكن الشخص عم بيتسمع صاحب الأمر أو صاحب الشأن عم بيتسمع، بيدفعوا له $500 بالأسبوع راتب من ال disability ال occupational hazard insurance. so هيدي مهمة جدا in the context of الأشخاص اللي عم يعملوا دور داشينج، عم يجوا يقدموا أكل على البيت. إذا صار في إصابة ومن وراها ما عادوا عم يقدروا يشتغلوا يكملوا دور داشينج وعندهم طبابة، ال occupational hazard insurance منعتبر نحنا هي اللي حتكون مسؤولة in this case. منقول منعتبر لأنه الإنسان اللي عم يعمل دورداش عنده سيارة، ومن شروط ال occupational hazardous insurance إنه يكون عندك insurance صالحة على سيارتك. بفتكر رح يصير في مشاكل بين الانشورنس تبع السيارة، هذا الشخص عنده all state مثلا، والoccupational hazardous insurance مين هون بده ياخد الطبابة بالأول، مين المسؤول عن الطبابة. بدي بس كنت سلط الأضواء، وما حدا بعد عنده الأجوبة. ليه؟ ما عنا الأجوبة المتينة، ما عنا الأجوبة اللي بنقدر نقول هذا هو القانون، لأنه this is a new area of the law that's evolving بالأخص من بعد البانديميك. قصة الدور داش وقصة الأوبر إيتس وهالقصص كلها. فالقوانين بعد ما وصلت لمكان انه محكمة استئناف او محكمة عليا بميشيغان تقلنا ماذا هو القانون. مشان هيك we're discovering things as we go along. ما بنتفاجأ اذا مثلا الموكل اللي تكلمنا معه الاسبوع الماضي يمكن all state ترفض تدفع له، ويمكن ال occupational hazard insurance ترفض تدفع له طبابته، ونضطر نقدم دعوة ضد اثنيناتهم لحتى نعرف من القاضي مين المسؤول. أو مين اللي عنده الأولوية.
نعم.
So أول نقطة بدي وصلها إنه في قصة who's going to pay the medical bills. إذا إنسان عم يعمل DoorDash وصل أكل على بيت مثلا وتأذى.
نعم جمانة، في سؤال بهذه النقطة، بس قبل ما أطرح السؤال يا ريت شوية تعلينا الصوت أكثر لو سمحتي بالمكسر نفس الطريقة يكون أفضل.
أوكي
نعم
أوكي هلا صار أحسن
أفضل بكثير. السؤال هو في هذه الحالة الأشخاص اللي عندهم أكيد مثلا بيبيعون البيت مثلا، هم في مرحلة بيع المنزل، وكثير أشخاص بيجوا للبيت حتى يشوفوه حتى يشتروا كمشترين يعني، فهل مطالب صاحب البيت أنه يكون عنده بوليصة تأمين خاصة لمثل هذه الحالات؟ لا سمح الله في أحد مثلا وقع على الأرض أو تزحلق بسبب الثلوج، هل هناك شيء معين ليحمي أنفسهم يعني؟
ما بعرف الجواب، بس رح اتحذر ورح اساله.
نعم.
I'm gonna guess, I'm gonna make an educated guess, I'm gonna say انه كمان مرة الهوم اونرز انشورنس هي اللي بتحمي صاحب البيت بحال اجا زوار، ان كان عم بيزوروا لانه عم بيشوفوا بيت there is a viewing whatever walk-in whatever they call them، او عم يجوا يزوروا لانه عم يجوا يزوروا. بفتكر انه الهوم اونرز انشورنس بوليسي هي اللي بتغطي صاحب البيت اذا كان السبب هو اهمال من قبل صاحب البيت. خلينا نسال المحامي هاورد رادنر. Attorney Howard Radner, if somebody has their house up for sale and they're inviting either personally for sale by owner or whether it is through a real estate company, they're inviting business invitees in to come view the home and somebody gets injured. In your opinion, who covers? Let's assume that there is negligence on the part of the homeowner. Do you believe that the homeowner's insurance is who covers that claim?
Yes.
Okay. But again, you must prove negligence on the part of the homeowner.
Correct.
Okay. So my guess was correct. الجواب الظاهر انه كان صح، انه صاحب البيت اذا اثبت اهمال من قبل صاحب البيت لسبب او لاخر وصار في إصابة، الانشورنس كومباني تبع الهوم اونرز هي اللي will defend and will pay on behalf of the homeowners. وذات الجواب بيتطبق للداشر. إذا الداشر اللي وقع قدام بيت السيدة إذا كان بسبب إهمال من قبلها، ساعتها بيقدر يقيم دعوة ضدها والهوم اونرز انشورنس تبعها اللي بتغطي. So attorney Howard Radner, same with the DoorDasher, if he fell in front of the customer's home and it was because the customer failed to properly maintain or whatever it is, clean the snow, the ice, the whatever, then that homeowner's insurance will step in and will cover that lawsuit, right?
Well, you may have to sue them.
Right.
Yeah. They are responsible.
Right. They are legally responsible,
yes, they are.
but you have to show negligence
Right,
on the part of their insured.
Right.
The dasher needs to prove negligence on the part of the homeowner before the homeowner's responsibility arises.
Correct.
Okay. Very good. Now, some people are required. There is no law, or is there a law that says that if you own a home, you are legally required to buy homeowners insurance? There is no law.
No, there isn't.
There is no law.
But nobody will write you a mortgage if you don't have insurance.
Thank you for that. So let's make that clarification. Let's say what other condition you must have insurance in order. I'll think about.
To drive an automobile, you have to have insurance.
Yeah, correct. Okay. So رامي ما في قانون بيقول إنه صاحب بيت لازم يشتري home owners insurance. بس من مصلحة كل صاحب بيت يشتري home owners insurance، لأنه إذا لا سمح الله صار في إصابة، الهوم اونرز انشورنس بتكلفه بالسنه اقل بكتير، حتى لو سنه ورا سنه ورا سنه في تجديد للانشورنس وما في كليم. طبعا if you live in a $5 million home or a $3 million home is different than if you live in a $100,000 home. اكيد الانشورنس بتكون اعلى. But technically speaking, Attorney Howard Radner, if somebody owns their home free and clear and they want to be foolish and not buy homeowners insurance, they're not violating the law. This isn't like, now I know what I wanted to say. This isn't like being an employer of more than 1.5 employees or 2 part-time employees. You have to buy workman's comp insurance. Otherwise, you violate the law. There are risks and you can be sued personally. So خلينا نوضح هيدي النقطة. ما في شيء بالقانون رامي بيقول إنه إذا أنت صاحب بيت عليك وجبت إنه تشتري homeowners insurance. but بتكون شغلة غبية أنا برأيي إذا إنسان بيكون عنده بيت وما بيشتري homeowners insurance. هلا أيمت ليش إذا بتسأل أغلبية المستمعين عندهم homeowners insurance؟ لأنه عادة أغلبية العالم اللي بيملكوا بيوتهم بعد البيت منه ملكهم 100%، عندهم مورجج من البنك، وبالتالي من شروط البنك to maintain ongoing homeowners insurance لحتى تحمي حقها. للبنك تحمي حقها البنك بتفرض عليك انك تشتري هوم اونرز انشورنس. سو يمكن السبب الاساسي ليه بتلاقي انه اغلبيه العالم اللي بيتهم is not free and clear، اذا اشتريت بيت $25,000 وشريه free and clear you don't owe anything to anyone، منك مضطر تشتري هوم اونرز انشورنس. I think it's a bad idea ما تشتري، لانه يمكن تكلفك اكتر لا سمح الله اذا حدا قام دعوه ضدك حسب شو الاصابه. but أغلبية الأوقات السبب اللي أغلبية العالم عندهم هوم اونرز انشورنس لأنه البنوكي as part of the mortgage لتحمي حالها بتفرض على الإنسان إنه يشتري home owners insurance. So they often tell you send us the proof that you renewed the home owners insurance, that you paid for it and all of that. بينتبهوا دغري بدهم يحموا حقهم، لأنه لحد ما أنت بعد عندك فرنج للبنك، البنك عندها interest، عندها insurable interest ببيتك، وبالتالي بدها تأكد أنه أنت عندك insurance عليها. ذات الشيء الأشخاص اللي بيشتروا ليس سيارات، الليس كومبانيز بيجبرون يشتروا جاب انشورنس لحتى يحموا حقهم بحال السيارة اختربت أو بحال السيارة راحت. الانشورنس تبع السيارة بس بتعطيك الفير ماركت فاليو، بس الفرق بين الفير ماركت فاليو ما تبقى على العقد بالسيارة هو المسؤولية على صاحب الأمر. إذا تركتها الليسينج كومباني على صاحب الأمر، يمكن صاحب الأمر ما يقدر يدفع ويروح يقدم إفلاسه. سو شو بتعمل؟ من الأول بتشبره يشتري جاب انشورنس، لأنه الجاب انشورنس بتغطي الفرق ما بين شو الكار انشورنس بتدفع لك وشو بعد باقي عليك بناء للعقد اللي هو بينك وبين الليس كومباني. سو تنرجع للداشر. If there is negligence on the part of the homeowner, the insurance for the homeowner مفروض هي تأمن محامي وتغطي هيدا النقطة. So حبينا نحكي عنها. This applies لداشers, this applies attorney Howard Radner applies also to Amazon drivers, right?
Right.
What about United States USPS, who are governmental employees? Any difference? Not for pain and suffering. The medical may be different. Okay, who covers medical for Amazon, who I also believe I am almost 100% certain that Amazon workers also have occupational hazard insurance. Now, USPS, they may be covered under their own governmental, yeah, right?
Workers' comp, they're probably employees.
They are employees.
Yeah, so
they are employees.
So they would have workers' comp.
Right, they will have workers'
They would pay for
comp.
the medical bills.
And UPS, they're probably also employees. They have workers' comp. But as far as the injury and if it's the result of the homeowner, that's on the homeowner.
Yes.
Okay. So رامي بالنسبة لمين بيدفع الطبابة إذا كان أمازون worker أو مين بيدفع الطبابة إذا واحد تأذى وهو UPS worker أو United States Postal، بفتكر أمازون عندها، بفتكر أنا أكيد 99% إنه أمازون عندها كمان مقدمة للي بيشتغلوا بأمازون قدمت لهم disability insurance، وبالتالي بفتكر disability hazardous occupational disability insurance هي اللي بتغطي. but بما بخص UPS والUSPS هيدول موظفين، وبالتالي رب العمل تبعهم والانشورنس كومباني الوركمنز كومبنسيشن انشورنس تبع رب العمل هي اللي بتغطي لهم طبابتهم واول 80% من التيك هوم ويجز تبعهم. وانما اذا اصابتهم سببها إهمال من قبل صاحب البيت القانون ما بيتغير، صاحب البيت عليه مسؤولية. عم نخبر هالشي كله اليوم، عم نعيد ونلف وندور لنقول نقطة أساسية اللي هي إنه كل صاحب بيت عنده واجبات إنه ينظف قدام بيته، بالأخص في أماكن بيتجمع فيها الجليد أكتر من غيرها. حكي عنها المحامي هاورد رادنر بالماضي، الداون سباوتس اللي بيكونوا إجمالا قدام الفرونت انترنس، هيدول بينزل المي وبيجمد المي. وقت اللي بينزل وبيجمد المي، وقت اللي بتعلى الحرارة بيدوب بيقشط على الأرض، بترجع بتنزل الحرارة بيجمد مطرحه، وهيدول بيكونوا إجمالاً حد البيت. If you remember, we've spoken in the past about downspouts. Typically by the front entrance of a door, you have a couple of downspouts. When the temperature goes down, the water freezes, the temperature goes up, they melt, they go down on the floor, and then the water goes down, the temperature goes down again, so they freeze, and now you have an icy accumulation there. So I guess what we're saying is that homeowners have a duty to be very careful with where delivery people deliver things for them, and make sure that on a daily basis, and sometimes more than once a day, depending on the weather conditions, are to clean, to clean, to salt, and all of that. Otherwise, they may be liable.
That's right.
And those who don't have homeowners insurance, because let's say their home is free and clear, well, they are at bigger risk because now they can be sued personally.
That's right.
اوكي بناخد وقفة سريعة رامي.
نعم.
وإذا حدا عنده أي تعليق، إذا حدا عنده دور داش، أو إذا حدا من اللي عم يتسمع تأذى وعم يعمل دور داش، إذا ممكن يقلنا مين دفع له الميديكال بيلز تبعه. إذا حدا أمازون ووركر وتأذى، إذا ممكن يقلنا مين دفع الميديكال بيلز تبعه. بيهمنا بخصوص حادث سيارة، بقطار حادث سيارة، بس كمان بيهمنا بقطار إصابة خارج السيارة. يعني مثلا نقول the Amazon delivery worker عم بيوصل باكج، أو الدور داش عم بيوصل باكج خارج السيارة. بناخد وقفة سريعة ومنرجع.
ونذكر مستمعينا بأرقام الهواتف في الاستوديو 313-769-6666 519-256-1023. هل أنت بحاجة للمساعدة في جلب شريك الحياة إلى الولايات المتحدة؟ بالرغم من أن إجراءات الهجرة على أساس الزواج معقدة للغاية، إلا أن محامي الهجرة من مكاتب المحامية جومانا كيروز تمكنوا بنجاح كبير مساعدة آلاف الأشخاص للهجرة إلى أمريكا، لأن لديهم الخبرة الطويلة في مساعدة الأشخاص على الحصول على الجرين كارد على أساس الزواج أو فيز الخطوبة بشكل سريع ومريح بقدر المستطاع. اتصل الآن بمكاتب المحامية جومانا كيروز 1866 Your Rights 248-557-3645. Your Rights مع المحامية جومانا كيروز. عودة إلى برنامج Your Rights مع المحامية جومانا كيروز. بالتأكيد بإمكانكم المشاركة على الأرقام 313-769-6666 519-256-1023 على الواتساب 313-327-7074. أيضا للاتصال بمكتب المحامية جومانا كيروز رقم الهاتف هو 248-557-3645. جمانة نرجع لك مرة أخرى.
شكرا جزيلا. خليني أطلب بس من المحامي هاورد رادنر يعطي تيست. Attorney Howard Radner, if you can just speak into the microphone. Right now we want to make sure that your level is, I'm being told, it's a little low. So say something like you are happy to be here today.
I'm very happy to be here today.
Okay, Rami, do I need to raise it?
ممتاز، الصوت رائع الآن.
هلأ عليته شوي أكتر، بعتذر، خليني أرجع شوف. This is a very important show, correct? Today, very important information, Howard?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. How is his level, Rami?
ممتاز جمانة، الصوت رائع والليفل ممتاز.
Okay, very good. ننتقل من بعد الأول جزء من الحلقة المهم جدا اللي بركي نهار الأحد القادم رامي منردده الساعة 7 بالليل because it is very important. اجينا اتصال من شخص تاني كان ماشي على public sidewalk وكان في ice and snow قدام بيته وللأسف وقع وضرب راسه. السؤال بيطرح نفسه، هل بنقدر نحمل المسؤولية على المدينة؟ Attorney Howard Radner, we had a caller who called and said that he fell and injured his head in front of his house on a public sidewalk. Public sidewalk. By the way, can I ask you a question, Howard? People have their homes and there are always the sidewalks. Are those sidewalks always the ownership of the city, or does it depend?
The public sidewalks are always owned by the city. And yeah, that gentleman that called actually fell in front of somebody else's house and wanted to file a suit.
But it does not matter whether it was somebody else's house or his house. He fell on the public sidewalk, and we know that the sidewalks are always owned by the city.
That's right.
Okay.
The public sidewalk, the one that's parallel to the street.
The ones that are parallel to the street. So if it is parallel to the street, it's a public sidewalk.
Right.
How can sidewalks be other than parallel to the street?
Because the sidewalks that lead to your porch are not parallel to the street. Those are private sidewalks.
Sidewalks that lead to your home
Right.
are owned by you?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, of course, if you're in an apartment complex
Okay.
or a condominium or townhouse complex, then all the sidewalks are owned by the apartment complex.
Even the ones parallel to the street?
All of them.
Okay.
So it's
So
all private property.
Okay, so let me clarify that. So كقاعدة عامة بيقول المحامي هاورد رادنر، لأنه السؤال من الأسئلة اللي إجتنا أو اتصال من الاتصالات اللي إجتنا بهالكم نهار الماضيين، إنه في شخص كان ماشي على الرصيف رامي وللأسف ضرب راسه، وكان في تلج وكان في سنو، بده يعرف إذا في يقيم دعوة ضد المدينة. بيقول المحامي هاورد رادنر إنه كقاعدة عامة إذا الرصيف بيكون parallel. شو يعني parallel to the sidewalk؟ parallel يعني بذات الاتجاه، parallel to the street. شو يعني parallel؟
يعني موازي للشارع أو بامتداد الشارع
بذات الاتجاه.
نعم.
يعني بذات الاتجاه على الشارع، هيدا بيكون دائما 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 للمدينة. إلا إذا كنت بكوندومينيوم كومبلكس، ساعتها كل السايد ووكس هونيك اللي هن parallel للستريت واللي هن منهم parallel للستريت they're all privately owned by the condominium complex. سألته هل في رصيف غير الرصيف اللي هو parallel للستريت؟ بيقول لي يس، إذا كان رصيف فايت عبيتك، أي رصيف معلق بده يفوت عبيتك باتجاه بيتك، أنت صاحبة هذا الرصيف. سو كقاعدة عامة الرصيف اللي هو parallel للستريت هو is owned by the city. فهذا الشخص did he have a case? Could he sue the city or no? Can you hear me?
Yes.
The question was about the gentleman who fell on a public sidewalk parallel to the street.
No, he had no case because the city has no duty under the law to remove snow and ice from their own sidewalks. So you can't sue the city because they have no liability, and you can't sue the homeowner because it's not
owned by the homeowner.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. You can only sue the city if the sidewalk is defective, and snow and ice does not make a sidewalk defective.
That's exactly right.
اوكي سو القاعدة العامة انه الحكومة عندها حصانة، وبالتالي ما بيقدر الانسان حتى لو كان في جليد 100% ما بيقدر يقيم دعوة ضد the city لانه عندهم حصانة. القانون بيقول انه الحصانة بتنرفع فقط اذا في defective sidewalk، مثل ما حكينا بالماضي وقلنا عن الشخص اللي كان عم يمشي في مكان وكانت الارض كتير واطية لدرجة وما بيقدر يقشع بالليل، لدرجة انه رفعته عن الارض هي اللي ما بتنرفع كتير، هي اللي خلته تترب. هون قدر أثبت المحامي هاورد رادنر إنه the sidewalk was defective، بس the mere presence of snow or ice on a public sidewalk does not mean you can sue the city. So النصيحة هون إنه ما تمشوا على public sidewalks بالثلج وبالجليد، لأنه لا سمح الله إذا تعرضتوا لإصابة ما عندكم كيس ضد المدينة وما عندكم كيس ضد صاحب البيت اللي هو مقبيل المدينة، لأنه مثل ما قلنا الرصيف دائما إذا كان هو parallel للسيتي parallel للستريت هو دائما صاحبه هو المدينة. So ولا فيك تقيم دعوة ضد الهوم اونرز ولا فيك تقيم دعوة ضد المدينة. So الانتباه بهذا الموضوع. هلأ كان عنده كيس تاني المحامي هوارد رادنر، كان في صاحب بيت عم بكب مي على البابليك سايد واك بطريقة متواصلة والمي جلدت. هون صار بيقدر الشخص اللي انأذى انه يقيم دعوة ضد صاحب البيت لأنه سبب الإهمال هو صاحب البيت هو مش المدينة. Attorney Howard Radner, we had a caller. First of all, is the airport owned by the city or by the state?
It's government.
It's
property.
government
County.
property. Okay. So again, the general rule, governmental immunity, with the exception of 2 or 3 things. All right. So we had somebody who called, and his question had to do with, I believe he hit his nose and broke his nose on the glass going out or going into the airport.
Going outside.
Okay. And does he have a case?
No.
Okay.
I didn't think he did, but
I know your case is
conceivably,
still open. You're
I mean,
waiting on more facts.
yeah, conceivably, if there's a defect in the door, that there would be liability.
Okay, because again, when you sue the government, if there is a defect in the structure, remember when we talked about the public school and the mom who was taking her daughter and she went on the porch belonging to the public school and what some of the steps were uneven? Well, we call the porch leading to the school as part of the structure, so that's a structural defect, and that's an exception
Yes.
to the public sidewalk.
To the governmental immunity.
Sorry, to the governmental immunity because it's a defect in the structure. Is that
Yes,
what it
a
is?
building defect.
building defect. Okay, building defect. So بنحكي دائما رامي عن الحكومة، عن الجوفرمنت، وإنه عندها حصانة، بس ما في حصانة ما إلها استثناءات وما بتنرفع. في شخص اتصل فينا ضرب منخاره بالباب تبع الايربورت. الايربورت is government property. ما بعرف إذا صاحب الايربورت هو المدينة أو صاحب الايربورت هو الولاية. بالنهاية it's government property. وبالتالي الحصانة موجودة. ضربت راسها بالإزاز، ما عندها كيس. ضرب راسه بالإزاز، ما عندها كيس، لأنه ما في شيء غلط يعني في عندها حصانة، إلا إذا في شيء غلط بالإزاز، إذا في شيء غلط بالباب. لأنه مثل ما قلنا الحصانة بتنرفع إذا بقلب المبنى الحكومي إذا في building defect، إذا في شيء غلط بالبيلدينج، إذا في شيء غلط بالعمار. مثل ما قلنا مرة سابقا إنه الأم اللي كانت عم بتوصل بنتها على public school وطالعة على البورش تبع البابليك سكول، وطلع إنه يا الريلينج، I don't remember if it was the railing، طلع الريلينج ووقعت، أو إذا كانوا الستبس يعني الأدراج غير متوازنين وبالتالي علو مختلف وحدة عن التاني وتأذيت. هون الحصانة تنرفع عن الحكومة، لأنه هيدا يعتبر a building defect، يعني في خلل بالبيلدينج. هون كمان هو بعد ما سكر الكيس، لأنه بعدنا ناطرين لنشوف إذا كان في خلل بالباب، بس إذا ما في خلل بالباب ساعتها لا. Likewise, Attorney Howard Radner, if somebody leaves the airport and outside it's icy and it's snowy on the sidewalk that waiting to get to your car, and somebody gets injured, it is also there is also governmental immunity.
That's true.
Okay.
Now, there's a possibility that the government hired a contractor to remove snow and ice. So that if the contractor that was hired to remove snow and ice did not do an adequate job, there may be a case against the contractor.
Okay, so sometimes the government will contract out the sidewalk to another company. In that case, if they were negligent, you may be able to sue them because you're suing a company that's not the government.
That's right.
You're suing an independent private company that is that is that was subcontracted to with the government.
That's right. Just like somebody, a government may hire a janitorial service to mop their floors, so that if somebody falls inside, say, a public school or an airport because of some negligence on the part of the janitorial service, they would have a case against the service.
If it is the result of some negligence, you always have to prove negligence. Yes. An injury in the air does not suffice. You have to say that somebody is injured. Right. Yes, and before we take our final break, that reminds me of one of the cases that you settled for a little bit less than $900,000, where this gentleman engineer from the Middle Eastern community fell because there was water on the floor and there was not adequate notice that beware or be careful, the floor is wet. You did not sue the city of Detroit. That happened in Detroit. Yes. You did not sue the city because they have governmental immunity, but you found out that the janitorial work was subcontracted out to a company outside of the city. And so, and they were negligent because they failed to give the proper notices to people. Please be careful, the floor is wet. And you sued, and you were able to settle that case a little bit shy of $900,000. That was about 6 months ago, right? 9 months ago?
It was, yes.
Yeah, about 9 months ago.
It was, yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's take our last break, Rami. And we will continue with Attorney Howard Radner.
قد يحاول بعض المصابين في حوادث السيارات إدارة قضاياهم توفيرا لأتعاب المحامين. والآن مكتب المحامية جومانا كيروز بإمكانه المساعدة من خلال إشرافه على سير القضية في جزئها الأول المتعلق بتعويضات الراتب والخدمات المنزلية، وتقوم بإرشادك في كيفية إدارة ملفك مجانا، بينما سيتولى المكتب مهمة الدفاع عن قضيتك في جزئها الثاني المتعلق برفع دعوى عن عطل وضرر. للمزيد من المعلومات اتصلوا بمكتب المحامية جومانا كيروز والاستشارات مجانية 248-557-3645.
عودة إلى برنامج الرايتس مع المحامية جومانا كيروز. جومانا رجع لك مرة أخرى.
شكرا جزيلا. ما عنا كتير بعد وقت، عنا تقريبا شي 7-8 دقايق. مثلا اجينا اتصال من سيد دي من فلوريدا، لنقول من فلوريدا، هي من غير ولاية، كانت بمارشالز ووقعت off the chair. She fell off the chair at a Marshall's store. And let's say this was in Florida, Attorney Howard Radner. That was one of our calls last month. So you may not remember very, very well. You did say there was no case. Why do you think you said there was no case? It could be because the injuries are tiny, or it could be because we cannot prove any negligence.
I recall that vaguely, somebody that fell off of a chair.
Just talk into the microphone, if you don't mind.
I remember vaguely somebody calling and saying that she had fallen off of a chair. And I didn't see that there was any basis for negligence there.
Okay, so you couldn't prove that she fell off the chair because, say, the chair is wobbly or something like that. And even then, even if the chair is wobbly, unless a business is on notice of a dangerous condition and have reasonable notice, just because it was wobbly does not mean that it's the fault, does not mean that Marshall's was negligent. Somebody had to have brought it to their attention, given them a chance to come and remove that chair in a timely fashion. That's why, if you fall at Myers or Target or Costco because you slipped on something on the floor that you could not see, let's say, that is not visible to the eye, then, if it had just happened a minute or two or 5 or even 15 minutes ago, yes, it shouldn't be on the floor. Yes, that's what caused you the injury. But I don't think you can hold that business liable because nobody says, the law doesn't say that you have to be watching every second, every minute, every 10 minutes, your aisles and everywhere to make sure. You have a duty to, reasonably inspect?
That's right, reasonable protection of the property. That means, like you said, you don't have to be watching every spot of your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay. 2 or 3, 5 minutes remaining. What advice can you give owners, business owners, and homeowners about cleaning outside, snow, ice, to limit the risk? I mean, I don't know of anyone who doesn't have an Amazon package delivered 2 or 3 times at least a day, not even once a day. Because again, this is the new world we live in, where it's cheaper and more time effective for us to order it online than to go to the store and buy it.
I mean, I think the best thing is to have a good service, a good snow contractor who will come out and remove snow and also salt the property.
Well, let me tell you about good snow services. They barely skim the surface. Their things don't go deep into the ground. So there is always that surface on the top that is very hard to get into. I just want to tell you that. Also, good snow services do not clean in front of your house, the steps leading into your home.
Mine does.
Well, then we need to have the name of yours.
I'll be glad to give it to you. They do our porch, they do our steps, and they do our sidewalk and driveway. They do a really good job, and they salt when they're done shoveling.
Okay, but again, the point is whether it is your company or whether it is you or whether it's you and your company, it has to be done very well. And then your front area, because if the UPS worker or the Amazon worker is getting off this cleaned area, your driveway, but stepping onto the snow and ice on your front porch, and God forbid the injury happens there, then you are liable.
You sure are, yeah. So you have to make sure that if your service is not doing a good job, then you have to finish the job.
You have to finish the job.
Yeah, it's your
and that's the only
responsibility.
right, and that's the only way you, God willing, stay out of harm's way and you don't injure someone and you don't get sued.
Right, I agree.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Okay.
Just be careful and use plenty of salt.
Right. And on the subject of salt, you cannot salt one time and say that's it. You have to watch the weather and you have to salt multiple times, because when the temperature rises, then the salt will melt and it will go into the underground and it's no longer effective. So you have to apply salt again and again. About 2 years ago, right before the pandemic, you and I did a top-notch, second-to-none show on how to use salt, how to calculate, excuse me, how to calculate how much salt you have to throw, how to watch the temperatures and make a decision when you have to salt and then resalt again. Suffice it, and you know, maybe God willing, we can do another show like that. Suffice it to say, just because you salted 2 days ago does not mean it is effective today. Because when the temperature goes up, the water will melt and the salt will run off with it into the underground, and it is no longer effective.
Right. Sure, I would say every snowfall needs another dose of salt when you're done shoveling.
Right, but also, in my opinion, every time the temperature goes up and then goes down, in anticipation of that, throw salt again.
Sure.
Because it's going to freeze again.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part. It's not the snow, it's the ice.
And ice is very dangerous when slippery. It can cause very serious injuries.
So, just very quickly, Rami and Howard, I mean, the God forbid, you know, concussions can be deadly. Very recently, one of our comedians, very well known, Bob Saget, who used to be from Full House. A lot of our listeners may know Full House because it was like an 80s show, I believe. And he's a comedian, he's very funny. He just died all of a sudden, found in his hotel room. And just yesterday, the autopsy revealed that he died from a hit to his head. So he checked into the Four Seasons Hotel after he did a comedy gig in Florida. he hit his head. They saw the bruise. They the autopsy revealed an inner bleed from the hitting of the head. Natasha Richardson, Liam Neeson's former wife, also was on a baby slope and hit her head learning ski 2 or 3 hours later she passed. The brother, and I know we're running out of time, the brother of the future Queen of England, because now we know she's going to be the Queen Consort, Camilla, her brother walked out of a hotel in New York City about 10 years ago, hit his head, he fell on the ground, and he also died out of a brain bleed. So that's how serious this is.
That's a good reason to always take care of your property.
Yes, 100%. Thank you so much رامي. Thank you. وإن الله راد منعيد الحلقة نهار الأحد، مش هيدا بس اللي بعده
إن شاء الله. شكرا لك، ونشكر لكل مستمعينا حسن المتابعة. إلى اللقاء.